All right, what's going on, guys? I am Kadarius Washington, and this is the Sports Rundown After Dark, as it's past 1 a.m. at the time that I'm recording this, Eastern Standard Time, anyway. But the big story in the NFL is that the Cincinnati Bengals are trading for Joe Flacco. Looks like the Jake Browning experiment has now come to an end in Cincinnati as the Bengals are trading their sixth-round pick next year to the Cleveland Browns for Joe Flacco and a fifth-round pick next year as well. And this is also the first trade between the Browns and the Bengals since the Browns returned to existence in 1999. An ultra rare interdivisional trade, and an even rarer, if that's even a word, interdivisional quarterback trade, as a couple of others included 2003 when the New England Patriots traded away Drew Bledsoe to the Buffalo Bills because New England had that sixth-round quarterback guy named Tom Brady under center, and I think that worked out pretty good for the Patriots. And then, of course, in 2010, you had the Philadelphia Eagles trade away Donovan McNabb to the then Washington Redskins, now Commanders, and who could forget that Monday night when the Eagles absolutely destroyed Washington and put up 59 on them. But anyway, the Bengals are at least trying to salvage a season that is quickly slipping away from them. And as I said previously here on the rundown, a big issue with Jake Browning and the games that he's played in is that he's turned the ball over too darn much. And what has he done in the 4 games that he's played this season? Turn the ball over. I mean, Jake Browning has thrown 8 interceptions in the 4 games that he's played this year. As a matter of fact, 2 of those 4 games, he's thrown for 3 interceptions. In each of them, he's thrown for more interceptions than touchdowns this year. But you know who else has thrown for more interceptions than touchdowns this year? Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has 6 interceptions to only 2 touchdowns on the season. But at least Jake Browning has 6 touchdowns. But anyway, the moral of the story is that both Jake Browning and Joe Flacco are turnover machines. So you're pretty much turning the reins over from one turnover-prone quarterback to another. Now, obviously, Joe Flacco in 2025 is nowhere near the Joe Flacco in 2012. But the Bengals decided to go the veteran route, at least until Joe Burrow comes back, who, once again, we are not going to see until December at the earliest, if we even see him at all for the rest of the year. But it is worth noting that while Flacco was under center for the Browns, their first and so far only win of the season to this point came against the Green Bay Packers. And guess who the Cincinnati Bengals played this week? The Green Bay friggin' Packers. Not saying that history, of course, is going to repeat itself, but let's see how it turns out. But going to the Browns side of things, like I told y'all, before the season, we knew that Joe Flacco was going to be QB1. But like I told y'all, I didn't think it was going to last very long. And then, of course, after looking absolutely horrible with this Browns offense, he was finally benched last week for Dylan Gabriel, the Browns' third-rounder coming out of Oregon, who had a pretty solid debut against the Vikings in London. He completed 57% of his throws, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a passer rating of 94. And along with this, Shedeur Sanders has now been promoted to QB2, by default, of course. And, oh, by the way, the Browns have that Deshaun Watson guy on their books who they gave the single worst contract in the history of the NFL to. And mind you, at one point in the preseason, the Browns had 5 quarterbacks on their active roster: Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Shador Sanders, and Tyler Huntley. Yep, very Cleveland Browns coded, if you ask me. But I want to ask y'all, wouldn't it be crazy if in the end this trade benefited the Browns more than it benefited the Bengals? That would be funny. Even though it's clear that both the Bengals and the Browns are both on a collision course to absolutely nowhere but a January vacation. Collision course to Cancun, Cabo, or knowing how cheap the Bengals are, probably Galveston, Texas. If you know, you know. But it's crazy how Joe Flacco in the AFC North alone obviously started his career in Baltimore, had a couple of stints in Cleveland, and now is getting ready to suit up for the Bengals. Who knows? He might even play for the Steelers next year. Just throwing that out there. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.